Hello, welcome to the Cool Library. I'm Ellen, and as you can tell by the title of this book, I'm going to be wrapping up a couple of the movies that I have watched in the first 2 months of the year. Normally I do quarterly wrap-ups, but this year I have watched so many movies within the first 2 months, and if I keep it going at this pace, then by the end of the first quarter, I'm going to have way too many movies to talk about, and then the video will be like 2 hours long. So I think for right now, I'm not sure if this will be the trend throughout the entire year, but for right now, every 2 months, I think I'm going to be doing a wrap up. And I also did the same for my books because I read way too many books in the first 2 months as well. We're going to get started here. I do want to start with some statistics, and then we will go into reviewing the movies. And I'm going to be doing it a little bit differently this year, but we will get to that later. Stats. I have them written down. Hold on. So I watched a total of 19 movies. This is the breakdown by month. So January was my best month. I watched 11 movies, and then February I watched 8. Comparing it to the amount of minutes I watched per month. So in January I watched a total of 1,092 minutes, which averages to about 18 hours. 18 hours of my month was spent watching movies. And then in February, it's 865 minutes, which averages to about 14 hours. So for the length of these movies, the most that I watch is the average length of movie, which is around 90 to 120 minutes, which averages to like an hour and a half to 2 hours, typically. But I did watch some that were under 90 minutes and some that were over 120 minutes. So over 2 hours. So my main genre for movie is comedy. Makes a lot of sense for me. I do really enjoy comedies. But then my second is action, which has been like a movie genre I've been watching more of these past couple of years. And action is one of my favorite genres of movies to watch, especially like action romances. But then some other genres I've watched: biography, thriller, adventure, romance, and drama. The format in which I watch these movies pretty evenly between theater and digital, but right now just a little bit more theater. But if we break down the specifics of digitally, most of them I watched through Amazon Prime. I did watch some on a Delta plane, which is why I have Delta plane there. And then Hulu and Netflix as well. Most of the movies I've been watching are rated R. Who is she? She's watching R-rated movies now. But also PG-13, TVMA, and there was I think 1 or 2 movies that were unrated. So because most movies I'm watching are in the theater, most of the movies I'm watching are from 2024. But there have been some that I've been watching from 2023, 2020, or 2018, and 2022. Star ratings. This is what we've got so far. No 5s on there. My most are 4s, and then we also have a lot of 3.5s, and then 2.5, 2, and 2, or 2 and 3, which makes my average pretty much just at a 3.5 right now. That's okay. We have time to hopefully bring that up. Okay, let's talk a little bit about directors for right now. Most of the directors have been male, but I have actually been watching a decent amount of women-directed movies. And there was one that had multiple genders. It was like both a man and a woman. The nationality is mostly American, because I am an American, but I have watched some British, French, Canadian, and one Israeli, which I did not know was Israeli at the time of watching it. Moving on, most of the directors I have been watching are not POC, unfortunately. Something, again, I still need to work on, but I'm not going to see movies based on directors, but it is something I do need to be a little bit more aware of, I think, and try to seek out more. Again, I just want that number to be better than what 2023 was. That's all I'm asking for right now. So the specifics of the POC, it was mainly Black directors, but then we also had an Asian and a Latinx director. Back to movies, is there LGBTQ plus representation? It's honestly half and half right now, which I'm happy about. So 52% there really isn't any LGBTQ plus representation, but the rest there is. 15% is within the main character, 31% is with like a side character. The specifics of the LGBTQ, most of them were gay. We also had some lesbian and a few that had like multiple. There was more than just one. Something new I'm keeping track of this year is the movie based on a true story. Most of them are not, but there have been some that are based on true story. Now for these next stats, I don't have pie charts for them because I've been trying to figure out how to make a pie chart for these. So if you can help me out, actually, if you know how to work Google Sheets, and help me create a pie chart for things that are checked off, that would be really helpful. I don't know if that's possible. But something else I want to keep track of are what movies make me cry, what movies make me laugh. No movies have made me cry so far this year, which is shocking. But there have been 5 movies that have made me laugh, which honestly, it's easier to make me cry than it is to make me laugh out loud with the movie. So the fact that none of them have made me cry, but some have made me laugh, quite shocked actually. So how we're doing it this year is I'm going to go through the movies that I have watched, tell you what I thought of them, and then we're going to put them on a tier ranking list. I did this once for like a Christmas movie video, and I kind of want to bring it back for my wrap-up videos and do it this way. So hopefully you see little old me in the corner here, and then you see the list up top somewhere. I have to figure out how I want to edit this. But for right now, I have it in my head how I want it to look, and I hope that's how it looks. Let's start talking about these movies. The first movie I have to talk about is Bob Marley, One Love. So this movie I thought was okay. I have given it... Oh my goodness. Can we... Okay, there we go. I've given it a 3.5. It was a decent movie, and there were a lot of things that I learned about Bob Marley, because honestly, going into it, I didn't really know anything about him and his life. I just knew some of his music, but nothing about him. And it was very interesting, and I think it's like a good take on talking about peace between people and trying to create peace and love, and how music can actually do that for people. But it also just kind of felt very generic. I feel like this a lot of times with biography movies. They're always like interesting, and I think they do a good job, but they're just so formulaic at this time. Like we just like know how a biography movie is going to go. And so this, I don't think, really brought anything new or special to the table, but I still enjoyed my time watching it. Yeah, so this is about, if you don't know, Jamaican singer Bob Marley, very popular and famous in, I believe, the 70s and 80s. And this is about how he, sorry, I'm looking at the description, but this is how he overcomes adversity to become the most famous reggae musician in the world. But I think the other problem with this movie too is I don't think it really dived in deep. It just kind of like stayed at surface level with Bob Marley's life. Enjoyed it, but I think you can like skip the theater for this. You can just wait till it's available. Next we have Lisa Frankenstein, which I'm giving also a 3.5, but it's lower than the Bob Marley movie. Because again, had a fun time, but also felt like this was nothing special. Okay, so this is about Lisa Frankenstein in 1989, which I did really love the 80s setting, the 80s aesthetic of this movie. I thought it looked really great in that sense. But in 1989, a misunderstood teenager has a high school crush who just happens to be a handsome corpse. After a set of playfully horrific circumstances bring him back to life, the two embark on a murderous journey to find love, happiness, and a few missing body parts along the way. So I enjoyed this story. I loved the setting of the 80s. But I do think this was just like generic. I don't think I really have much to say on this movie, if I'm being honest. It was okay. It was okay. I don't know what to say about this one. Okay, next we have Cocaine Bear, which I'm giving 2.5 stars. Now, Cocaine Bear was actually the very first movie that I watched this year. New Year's Day, I was hanging out with a friend. We're like, let's just put on a movie. And honestly, I had a fun time, which is why it's at a 2.5. So if you don't know Cocaine Bear, we follow an oddball group of cops, criminals, tourists, and teens. They converge in a Georgia forest where a 500-pound black bear goes on a murderous rampage after unintentionally ingesting cocaine. Like, the script is lacking, and a lot of the gags just, like, don't really hit. And it's, like, just a very dumb movie, but in the best way. Like, this movie knows it's dumb. You can't help but just, like, have a fun time. And it also does not hold back on the gore. So just keep in mind, you do see quite a bit of blood. But yeah, it was a 2.5. So next we have role play, which is also going in the 3.5 category, but above the Bob Marley movie. Role play is an action romance. Emma has a wonderful husband and 2 kids in the suburbs of New Jersey. She also has a secret life as an assassin for hire. A secret that her husband David discovers when the couple decide to spice up their marriage with a little role play. This is also a fun time. It's like an average movie, but it's a fun time. I think that's the theme of my 3.5s. Like, it's predictable. The script is all over the place. The dialogue doesn't really sound like real dialogue between people. And I also still don't, like, understand the motivation of our villain. Like, I don't know why our villain is a villain. But it was a fun time. And I do enjoy an action romance. I enjoy those quite a bit. Next on the list is American fiction, which is going in the 4-star category. I really wanted this to be a 5, and I don't know why it's not a 5 for me. I don't know. I don't think it really hit me as much as I wanted it to, but I really did enjoy this movie quite a lot. So in this movie, we have Thelonious Ellison, who goes by Monk. He has a writing career that has stalled because his work isn't deemed black enough. Monk, a writer and English professor, writes a satirical novel under a pseudonym aiming to expose the publishing world's hypocrisies. The book's immediate success forces him to get deeper enmeshed in his assumed identity and challenges his closely held worldviews. So I think this has like a really great analysis on stereotypes, especially when it comes to race. And I think it explored that very well. And this is incredibly written, incredibly acted. And it's a really great story. And I enjoyed my time watching this movie. And I actually really loved the ending. I remember when we were getting closer and closer to the ending, and I kept being like, how is this going to end? I don't know. Like, obviously the truth is going to have to come out eventually, but like, how's that going to go down? But I liked what they did with the ending. It's not what I was expecting, but very much enjoyed. And it's a very high 4-star movie for me. All right, next we have Upgraded, which is a rom-com. It's going into the 3.5 category. So this movie, we have Anna, who is an ambitious intern dreaming of a career in the art world, trying to impress her demanding boss, Claire. When she's upgraded to first class on a work trip, she meets handsome Will, who mistakes Anna for her boss. A white lie that sets off a glamorous chain of events, romance, and opportunity until her fib threatens to surface. I really liked this rom-com. I really loved the acting in this. Like, Marissa Tomei was great at being like a Meryl Streep from Devil Wears Prada. And I actually really enjoyed the romance, even though there is lying involved in it, but it was good. I do think the romance like wrapped up too quickly, and like all the like apologizing and stuff, just it went so fast by the end. So I think the pacing was a little bit off, but I still had a fun time watching this movie, and I recommend it if you like rom-coms. Next we have Book of Clarence. I really loved this movie. I had a fun time with it. It's like a great parody on the story of Jesus. More specifically, let's get into it. Streetwise but down on his luck, Clarence is struggling to find a better life for his family while fighting to free himself of debt. Captivated by the power and glory of the rising Messiah and his apostles, he risks everything to carve his own path to a divine life, and ultimately discovers that the redemptive power of belief may be his only way out. I absolutely loved the journey our main character Clarence went on, because he started off as like this guy who we see him like steal from the poor, and he's just so very much like, oh, Jesus, yeah, he's not real, but I can do what he can do, and like pretends to be a Messiah, pretends to be the next Jesus to get money and like swindle people. But then like slowly but surely you see his character grow, and by the end you see how he sees like faith really does help people. And I also just loved the look of this movie. It's very vibrant, and the editing is like pretty quick with certain scenes, but I love this little like parody take on the story of Jesus, but we're not really following Jesus, we're following Clarence. I have like one really major gripe with the movie. I don't even want to say it was a gripe. It was just something that I don't think was like needed, but I did watch this for a movie club, and after talking about it in movie club, I think understand a little bit more why it was there. But I still don't feel like Benedict Cumberbatch's character was needed in the movie. Like, I feel like if you took his character out, the movie would still make sense and would still be really good. That's my take on that. As much as I love Benedict Cumberbatch, I don't think he was needed. So next we have Self-Reliance, which is also a 4-star movie. Really enjoyed this one. This is a comedy written, directed, and starred of Nick from New Girl. I can't remember the actor's name all of a sudden. Oh, Jake Johnson. Really love Jake Johnson. But this movie, what a concept, you guys. So when a man is offered $1 million to play a game in which hunters try to kill him, he thinks he has found the perfect loophole. They can only attack when he's alone. His only problem is that none of his friends or family believe the game is real. He then has to, like, they don't continue on with it, but, like, he then has to go online, try to find someone who may also be playing the game, and they just, like, stick together. I think there was that one time he also, like, hired a homeless man to just follow him around and, like, stay by his side all times. No, this was really, really fun and funny. And again, another, like, character arc and character growth that I enjoyed. But this was such, like, a good concept, such a good idea that I think was executed well. And I never knew where the story was going or how it was going to end. But I really liked it, and I loved the Andy Samberg cameo and, like, him playing himself. So fun, so funny. I know I didn't, like, really laugh out loud with this movie, but it was still funny, and I really enjoyed it. Next we have Drive Away Dolls, which is also going into the 4-star, but it is not going there. Hold on. It is going there. I really enjoyed this movie. I don't think many people did, or I think most people just, like, found it average, but I really enjoyed it. So with this, we have Jamie, an uninhibited free spirit, bemoaning yet another breakup with a girlfriend, and her demure friend Marion desperately needs to loosen up. In search of a fresh start, the two embark on an impromptu road trip to Tallahassee, but things quickly go awry when they cross paths with a group of inept criminals along the way. My food delivery is here. I will be back. Okay, groceries are taken care of. I was talking about Drive Away Dolls. There we go. Loved this movie. I loved the story. I loved the whole journey we went on. I really thought the acting was good. But again, why it's not a 5 or like a 4.5, I don't know. And I think this was definitely worth a trip to the theater. Okay, so the next movie we have here is Argylle. I have an unpopular opinion, you guys. It was a 4-star for me. I really enjoyed this movie. But, like, I can see the reasons why people didn't like it, because this is really getting a lot of hate right now. What was it? One of my friends who saw it literally gave it, like, 1 star. And I was like, can you tell me why? No, we did talk about, like, you know, the script isn't that great, the storytelling isn't that great, and there were some things that he didn't like about it that I loved about it, but I cannot tell you how much I love Matthew Vaughn's film style, especially his filming of fight scenes. I just think they're so, like, entertaining to watch. But let's talk about what this movie is about. So, when the plots of reclusive author Ellie Conway's fictional espionage novels begin to mirror the covert actions of a real-life spy organization, quiet evenings at home become a thing of the past. Accompanied by her cat Alfie and Aiden, a cat-allergic spy, Ellie races across the world to stay one step ahead of the killers as the line between Conway's fictional world and her real one begins to blur. Yeah, so we've got an author of spy novels getting into the world of espionage because they think that she is predicting what is happening in the real world. But here's the thing. There were lots of twists and turns that people are saying were predictable. They were not predictable for me. I didn't see the twists coming, and I really had a fun time. I think there were 2 fight scenes that were so ridiculous, and I was laughing hysterically, but, like, I was laughing out of enjoyment, honestly. I loved the ridiculousness of, like, the 2 last fight scenes. The fight scene where she's, like, ice skating on knives. And the one where, like, colorful fog is just being blown all over the place. and it's almost like a romance dance while fighting. I loved it. Was cracking up the whole entire time. I was sitting there literally being like, I can see people absolutely hating this because it's so cheesy, but I find it so funny that I'm really enjoying my time right now. I loved that fight scene so much. I will say I don't think the romance that's within this movie was needed. Did I mind it? No, but I also did not think it was needed. And I actually really enjoyed the like going back and forth between the book and real life. I was a little bit confused in the beginning with that, but once I like got it, I got it. And I was totally fine with it. But yeah, so it's a 4-star for me. All right, next here on my list we have Land of Bad, which is also going into the 4-star category. I surprisingly enjoyed this movie more than I thought I would. So this is like an action special ops military movie. When a Delta Force special ops mission goes terribly wrong, oh my god, it does. It goes so wrong. Air Force drone pilot Reaper has 48 hours to remedy what has devolved into a wild rescue operation. With no weapons and no communication other than the drone above, the ground mission suddenly becomes a full-scale battle when the team is discovered by the enemy. Can I just say, the heart was pounding, stakes were high. I genuinely really enjoyed this movie. I kind of want to see it again. But also, here's the thing. I don't get turned on by military men. Like, it's not for me. You do you, but like if someone tells me they're in the military, they're like special forces, I'm not turned on by it. It honestly is an ick for me and a red flag for me. But Milo Ventimiglia really did it for me in this movie. Oh my god. I normally like him and have a crush on him, but there was something about him fighting in this movie, or even just talking, just speaking in this movie, and I was turned on. Yes. But no, I, again, really loved the fight scenes in this, and heart was pounding. I was just like sitting there being like, oh my god, he's not gonna make it, he's not gonna make it. It was great. I do want to warn you though, you do see, but it's like a spoiler. You do see someone's head get chopped off. Yeah, and like it just constantly is like things are going wrong, things are going wrong, things are going wrong. And it's like, will anything ever go right? But I definitely recommend watching this movie. It also did make me laugh. There were parts with like some lines that I was like, that was funny. And I laughed out loud. I recommend it. Okay, next we have The Beekeeper, another action movie that's also going in the 4-star category. Actually, there were a decent amount of 4-stars this year. Yay. I like this a lot. It's Jason Statham being Jason Statham. And Josh Hutcherson. I'm always going to see a Josh Hutcherson movie no matter what. But like, Josh Hutcherson was playing a villain. He was playing a stuck-up rich white boy just scamming people. And what a role. He killed it. Yeah, so this is one man's campaign for vengeance takes on national stakes after he is revealed to be a former operative of a powerful and clandestine organization known as Beekeepers. That, I feel like, does not do the story justice of what this movie is about. So basically we have Jason Statham, who is a beekeeper for this like sweet old woman, and then she kills herself. So just be warned, there is suicide in this movie, but she kills herself because she ended up getting scammed and all of her money was gone. And so he then takes it upon himself to enact revenge for that on these people that are just scamming to get tons of money and millions of dollars from people. But what people don't know, or what they soon find out, is that he was part of a very secret, like, operative within the government called the Beekeepers. It's just, you know, Jason Statham taking on 30 CIA agents at one time, and he kills it. I loved the action. I do think the story was like a little messy, but still engaging and interesting to watch, so I definitely recommend The Beekeeper. Okay, so next we have Mean Girls. which is going in the 3.5 category. So this is the 2024 one, the Mean Girls musical, or at least like this movie is based off of the musical, which the musical is based off the original 2004 movie. This movie, listen, I think this movie did the musical a disservice. But it's still a 3.5 because I still had a good time. And of course, Renee Rapp, she is an icon. She is a queen. We all bow down to Renee Rapp. Literally walked out of the theater thinking I was Renee Rapp for a while. And I was like, yeah, I'm Regina George. I had so much confidence coming out of that theater. It was insane. But the biggest issue that is wrong, like the biggest thing that is wrong with this movie is the music. When you listen to the original musical soundtrack and compare it to the movie soundtrack, these songs in the movie have no life, no energy. I don't know who did the musical arrangement for the movie, but it was not good. Absolutely not good. And there were some like camera shots that were just also like, why was that a choice that you made? That does not make any sense. It does not look good. I do want to link down below Amy Lovatt. She has a video where she talked about the comparison between the musical and the movie, and why the movie was a disservice to the musical, because she says it so much better than I do, and a lot of the things that she says I completely agree with. But yeah, so it was like a 3.5. I had a fun time watching this in the theater, but like, it also wasn't good. Okay, next we have Atlantic Rim Resurrection. Listen. I don't even know how to talk about this movie. Yes, I gave this 2 stars. Does it deserve to be a 1 star? Yes. The 2 star is just for enjoyment only. Because I had a good old giggle about this movie. So if you don't know, there is Atlantic Rim, which was a parody off the movie Pacific Rim. Love Pacific Rim. And I did not know Atlantic Rim had a sequel called Atlantic Rim Resurrection. So when I found out it had a sequel, I had to watch it because I watched Atlantic Rim with friends of mine years ago, and it was one of the funniest times of my life. I still look back on that very fondly. We used to like quote that movie all the time. It's very much like if a college student wanted to make a film about Pacific Rim, but make it Atlantic Rim, the other side of the country. It is really bad. Like I don't think I can explain to you how bad this movie is, but it is bad. Everything about this movie is bad. But because I enjoyed myself watching it with a friend as well, I had to at least bump it up for enjoyment purposes. Yeah, CGI awful, script awful, acting awful. Like this really is like a B, C rated movie. So I that's all I have to say about Atlantic Rim Resurrection. Okay, next we have Good Grief, a movie that's on Netflix. I gave it 3 stars. This is definitely one of those movies where I feel like this would be a great movie if it like really resonated with you. If like you watched this movie at the right time. And I don't think this movie, I watched it at the right time, unfortunately. So this is directed, written, and acted by Dan Levy, who I do very much enjoy Dan Levy. When his husband unexpectedly dies, Mark's world shatters, sending him and his 2 best friends on a soul-searching trip to Paris that reveals some hard truths they each needed to face. This also is quite a sad movie because this whole movie deals with grief and the loss of a loved one, which is why I think if you are dealing with the loss of a loved one and dealing with grief, this movie will probably be perfect for you. But I didn't like feel those emotions because I'm currently not going through any grief right now. Thank God. But I do think this is very well acted. It's very well directed. It's very well made. But I just can't like quite put my finger on what I feel like was missing. But there is definitely like something missing from this movie. Oh, I will say there was like one scene between Dan Levy and this other guy who has like a connection to his husband that passed away. I don't want to like ruin it, but I don't think that whole scene was needed. We didn't need to have a conversation with that man. at all. It did nothing for me. It honestly kind of like brought the movie down, that whole part. Okay, next we have Shortcomings, which is also a 3-star movie. I watched this on the plane. There were a couple, oh, okay. This is one of the first ones that we haven't seen yet that I watched on my plane ride home from Pennsylvania to here in Los Angeles. This was my least favorite of the ones that I watched on the plane for sure. This one actually kind of made me mad, if I'm being honest. Why is it so high up? I feel like this should be less than a 3. No, I do think it's shot well. The main character absolutely infuriated me. So with this movie, when his girlfriend leaves for New York City on a 3-month-long internship, a strongly opinionated Berkeley art house movie theater manager begins exploring life as a bachelor and semi-stalking his ex-girlfriend. Yeah, no, this guy wanted to slap him so many times. And the most like frustrating thing about it was that like he had no character growth. He was the same as he was in the beginning as he is in the end. Like, still an asshole. Still, like, full of misogynistic views. And also very hypocritical and just, ugh. So, like, it really honestly ruined the experience of watching this movie for me because I could not get behind our main character. I wanted to, but I couldn't do it. I did like the women in the movie, and I did like the look of it. Like, I thought it was shot well and edited well and paced well, which is probably why it's up there at a 3. But like, oh, so insufferable. And I think like this movie wanted to make some big statement about misogyny and like racial dynamics, but it kind of stayed like surface level of that and just like kept repeating the same stuff over and over and over again, and just like kind of felt like it was hitting you over the head with it. And it's like, we get it. We get it. You don't need to keep repeating all of this stuff. And like, I don't think they actually did make any big statements. It was just kind of like, again, surface level stuff in that regard. So that's why it's a 3-star. Next movie I watched on the plane was Pinball. What is this movie? What's the full? Okay, Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game, which is going up there, high in the 3.5s. Okay, so this is a dramatic comedy based on the true story of writer and pinball wizard Roger Sharp, chronicling his journey to overturn New York City's 35-year ban on pinball. Yeah, so I actually never knew that pinball was apparently illegal for a couple of years because some idiot politicians thought that it was a way for kids to gamble. Who knows? And so Roger Sharp loved the pinball game and was like, "What? It's being taken away from him." So he goes out to prove that it's just a game. Nothing serious. But we're also following his life and his relationship with this woman. Biographies, I tend to like, they're just a formulaic story. You understand like what's going to happen, how it's going to work, and how it's going to end, but still engaging enough. And I thought the acting was really good and like still an interesting story that kept me engaged the whole time. And I liked the moments where they broke the story and would go to an actor who was playing Roger Sharp, as if like he's Roger Sharp and they're interviewing him and he's like, no, that's not how it happened. Or he's like, no, it's nothing like that. Like, let's try this. And then like he would also sometimes be inserted into the scene as narration. So I did like that little interesting, different way of telling a story. But other than that, I felt like it was just average. Okay, so next is Honor Society. Let's keep that like that. Which is gonna go right there. It's a 4-star movie for me. I liked it. I liked it a lot. This is the other movie that I watched on the plane. And I was, expecting like a rom-com. And then something happens. But let's talk about this movie. So Honor is the character's name. She is an ambitious high school senior whose sole focus is getting into Harvard, assuming she can first score the coveted recommendation from her guidance counselor. willing to do whatever it takes, Honor concocts a Machiavellian-like plan to take down her top 3 student competitors, until things take a turn when she unexpectedly falls for her biggest competition, Michael. So this is like a teen romance movie, but the twist that happens, I did not see coming. And the twist was like so shocking, it honestly changed the genre of the movie. I haven't seen that since Parasite. But like, once, like, before the twist happened, it was easily like a 3.5. Like, I was really enjoying my time, this was fun. But then the twist happened and it bumped it up to a 4. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. This also had a lot of like really great acting. I didn't like McLovin being like a pedophile in this movie. I don't think that was particularly needed, but very fun time. 4-star movie for me. Okay, one last movie to talk about, and that is ISS. 3.5. So this had a really interesting concept, actually. So it's a thriller. Tensions flare in the near future aboard the International Space Station as a conflict breaks out on Earth. US and Russian astronauts receive orders from the ground. Take control of the station by any means necessary. Yeah, love that concept of like, we have Russia, we have the US, they're together, working together on a space station, and then war breaks out down below between the two countries, and they're like telling them like take over the station. Lots of drama, lots of things going on while everyone's floating around. It's great. The reason why it's a 3.5 though is because I cannot stand open-ended endings. Like, I can't stand when I'm like watching a movie and then it ends and I'm left there being like, okay, but like what happens after that? Like, I need more. Like, I need an epilogue. I need something, because it can't just end like that. I understand if people do like open-ended endings, because then they kind of like can create their own ending of how it goes, but I need the answers. I need someone to tell me the answer, you know? So like, because of open-ended endings, it just always doesn't feel like a complete story to me. I need it to be completed. It was very thrilling though as I was watching it, and I was enjoying my time with it. Also, like, Chris Messina's mustache was so distracting. Whenever he was on the screen, I couldn't look at anything else except his mustache. But yeah, no, it was a 3.5. I definitely would recommend people watch it. But just keep in mind, I don't feel like it's a complete ending. There we go. Those are the movies I watched in January and February. And there's the ranking of them and how the year's going so far. So far, no 5 stars or 4.5 stars, which is honestly kind of upsetting. But it is tough for me to rate things 5 stars. It takes a lot. Okay, and then really quickly, I want to discuss some TV shows that I've also watched within January and February. I do rate these differently than my movies, if you haven't been here. I rate them in a 3 whatever scale, whether I dislike it, like it, or love it. I don't really put a star rating to it. So, didn't watch a lot of TV, but this is actually a decent amount that I watched for what I normally get, like maybe 1 or 2 shows in a month, but I was able to get, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 TV shows within the first 2 months. Yay! So let's get started. We have D20 Fantasy High Season 1. I haven't gotten to the other seasons yet, but I will. And this is definitely a like. So I have started playing Dungeons and Dragons with some cousins of mine, and I'm actually going to be joining another campaign soon with some friends from high school. So this was actually really helpful for me in learning like how to play D&D, was by watching other people play D&D. And Fantasy High was really cool in the sense that it was kind of like Breakfast Club, but fantasy and D&D. Yeah, so I really enjoyed Season 1. I'm excited for Season 2. Play It By Ear is also a like. Yes, I did get Dropout, and I've been watching a lot of Dropout TV shows. But Play It By Ear is an improv musical show where they just kind of like give them suggestions, and the people on stage have to just like put together a story. And they're like, okay, well now let's get a song about this, and it's this kind of music, and the person on stage has to start singing a song and just coming up with it off the top of their heads. It's very funny. I do enjoy it quite a lot as well. I like the improv style of it, and I also love musicals, so this is definitely up my alley. But I've only watched season 1. I'm getting to season 2 soon, and I'm excited. Make Some Noise. I'm like debating between a love and a like, but I'm gonna go with love. I watched season 2 at the very beginning of this year. It was like the first show I think I watched in January. And I really love Make Some Noise. Again, this was Dropout. Really happy with my Dropout subscription that I have. You can't tell. But Make Some Noise is kind of like a spin-off of one of their game changer things that they did, where they just have a bunch of improv prompts and the person has to make that noise. And it's incredibly funny. I enjoy it a lot. I recently watched or rewatched an episode with some friends and they were also laughing hysterically with it. This is like one of those shows that honestly I could go and rewatch the shows and still find it as hysterical as I did the first time I watched it. Love on the Spectrum. Here's the thing. I watched both season 1 and season 2 of Love on the Spectrum. Season 1 is a like, but season 2 is a love. So I think for now I'll put it in love. Yeah, season 1 I liked it. Season 2, even better. It like upped itself by adding Tanner and Connor. Tanner and Connor, I would die for them. I absolutely love them. But Love on the Spectrum, it's one of those, I don't normally like romantic reality TV shows. I normally am not a fan of reality TV shows. There are a few that I like, but it's a very small amount. But Love on the Spectrum, really love it. I think the reason I love it is because it's so wholesome. So Love on the Spectrum is a dating show for people who have autism. And there's like different stages of the autism that we get to see. And I think it's just so wholesome and really sweet. And honestly, I get to learn quite a lot about autism that I actually didn't know beforehand. If they do a season 3, I'd be very happy and excited for a season 3. The Goldbergs season 10, which is its final season, I'm going to put it at a like. The Goldbergs is one of those shows that I really loved in the beginning, but I think after season 4, it needed to stop. Not saying it was bad, but I felt like it kept reusing old stories. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I feel like they've run out of ideas, but they just keep reusing the same ideas and the same tropes that they've done before. And I don't understand why it just kept going. But season 10 is its final season, and I did like it because whether they, keep rehashing the same story, I still enjoy that story. But I feel like the finale just wasn't as special as it could have been. It's one of those things where like the finale felt like they didn't know they were going to be a finale, but I know they knew it was going to be a finale. They knew that they were ending. They knew that it was not coming back. So why it didn't feel like a finale to me, I don't know. But it was fine. Next we have One Day, which I am putting at a like. It is very close to being a love. Actually, I should be putting these in order here. There's the order. It's a very high like. It's almost a love. Because here's the thing. I still haven't read the book. I want to read the book so bad. I have watched the movie multiple times and it emotionally destroys me every time I watch it, but I love that movie. And the TV show still emotionally destroyed me, again, even though I know it's coming. I was sobbing, snot was coming out my nose, and I definitely enjoyed the TV show adaptation, but I don't think they did as much with the mom as they could have. I don't think they really established like his relationship with his mom and how that was like really fractured. And I also don't think they showed how fractured his relationship with his dad was either. I don't think they did like that whole relationship with his parents justice. And then the other thing too is I don't think our two main leads actually had chemistry with each other. Don't hate me for it. Yes, their romance did destroy me. And oh my God, it really did destroy me. I still couldn't see their chemistry throughout the show. And it's one of those things where I'm not sure if it's the actors themselves or if it was the writing. Maybe a combination of both, but that's why it's at a like and not a love. And then lastly, we have The Artful Dodger, which is a love. Obsessed. Couldn't even complete a sentence. Yeah, obsessed with this show. I really need a season 2. I'm still not sure if they have a season 2 yet. Have they announced if there's going to be a season 2? I need to look that up. Yeah, Artful Dodger was a love. I really got invested in the story. I'm in love with Thomas Brodie Sangster. I have always been in love with Thomas Brodie Sangster. And I think him and the girl had really great chemistry. And I also really loved her as a character. Like, she was a very strong, smart, opinionated woman. I do want to warn you, there is gore. I mean, you are following a surgeon in, I believe, the like 1800s. So you're gonna see some limbs being sawed off. And, you know, not fun surgery and very bloody surgery. But I've become obsessed with it. Yeah, and that's all I have to say about TV shows as well as movies. And I'll see you again in another 2 months with another wrap-up. I do have my book 2-month wrap-up linked down below as well if you want to also check out the books that I read within January and February, because I did also read a lot of books. I am in my book reading era right now. I'm scared for when a slump happens. But yeah, and I will see you guys later with more videos. Bye!